Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. My phone buzzed and Eli snatched it before I could breathe. His thumb woke the screen and froze on the bank alert. He looked up slow, mouth tight, door clicking shut behind him. I felt the room shrink as the numbers stared back. "I'm Alex, 29. I reached for the phone and he kept his grip. "Big month," he muttered, eyes on me, not the screen. He set it down between us like a wager. "Why did you hide this from me?" No question mark. I kept my voice level and folded my arms once. He smiled thin and tapped the table with 2 fingers. "Because we could fix everything now," he whispered, almost pleased. "Fix what?" I watched his shoulders rise and stall. "My stress, your stress, all of it," he said, hands open. "You push too hard and I can take the load." He held the pause like a promise with a crack. "What load exactly?" I kept standing and made him name it. "Home errands, planning, the whole stack," he said, chin lifted. "You thrive when life is handled, I will handle life." He liked the sound so much he almost clapped. On my paycheck, I nudged the phone with one knuckle. "That is partnership," he said, voice warm and sharp. "You provide, I manage, we win," he added, eyes bright. I tasted metal and did not know why yet. "Show me a plan," I said, pulling a chair out. He stayed standing and paced a tight line near me. "Simple," I paused, "job hunting and make our world smooth." His heel dragged on the floor and drew a boundary. "Pause for how long?" I watched for a flinch and got one. "Until I find the right role," he answered with a shrug. 2 months, maybe 3, it depends," he added, gaze sliding. The word depends scraped, something I had tried to ignore. A calendar notification pinged, and he palmed the sound off. "Look at me, you know this makes sense," he urged. "You hate chaos and I make order," he pushed, stepping closer. I felt cornered and he mistook it for agreement. "Prove it this week," I said, pointing to the door. "Groceries, meals, laundry, bills, all of it invisible but done. No reminders, no errors, no surprises," I added, pulse steadying. He nodded fast and kissed the air between us, triumphant. He reached for the phone again like it belonged to him now. I slid it away and let the silence bite down hard. His jaw worked, then reset, like a decision clicked into place. I did not know the cost yet, but he did. He arrived early and grabbed the marker like a trophy. "Let me architect the system," he announced, chest forward. I nodded once and watched him rate tasks fast. Every checkbox felt like a bet I could lose. I photographed the board and sent him the shot. "No reminders from me after this," I told him. He lifted his chin and tapped the first square twice. Confidence is loud when no one asks for receipts. He started with breakfast and left the pan soaking. "Fuel for winners," he grinned, flexing for his reflection. I clicked my meeting and muted the room hard. Silence helps when your patience already leaks. Mid-call, the doorbell hammered like a deadline. He jogged to accept a package with my name. I unmuted and kept smiling through a forecast. He peeled the box and forgot the checklist entirely. Lunchtime, I saw nothing prepped and heard music. He waved me off and promised a surprise later. I poured cereal and swallowed around the lump forming. Promises fill rooms until they block the exits. Afternoon, he posted a story of himself vacuuming. Caption bragged about building our new routine together. The comment flood turned him into a motivational guru. I wondered when results would arrive without filters. I asked for receipts for utilities and insurance online. He flashed thumbs up and angled the screen away. 2 clicks later, his browser opened another tab. Focus drifts fastest when attention feels free. I finished work and opened our banking app. Groceries pending, utilities still untouched, calendar blank. He spotted my face and reached for a hug. I stepped back and pointed at the board. "First day jitters," he joked, hand rubbing his neck. "Tomorrow the engine roars," he added with sparkle. I handed him the budget sheet without a smile. Numbers remove glitter from thin claims. Evening, he cooked pasta until the smoke alarm chirped. He fanned the sensor with a towel and laughed. I scraped the pot and checked the time slipping. Momentum matters most when trust is sprinting behind. After dishes, he pitched an idea with lively hands. "Outsource the boring tasks for efficiency," he suggested. He showed an app with people you could hire. I stared at the fee and measured the hole widening. Your role was to manage, not delegate everything. He lifted a shoulder and called it strategic scaling. I took a breath and drew an invisible line. Cost is a boundary you only cross once. Night planning, I broke the week into simple missions. He agreed while scrolling through gym schedules quietly. Fitness equals focus, he murmured without looking up. Discipline means doing things when no one claps. Tuesday morning, trash waited by the door untouched. I carried it down and met his grin upstairs. He claimed he was timing the truck for efficiency. Excuses always arrive before the pickup. Midweek, a reminder pinged for rent transfer. He typed slowly and asked for my login again. I declined and forwarded him the shared link. Trust needs process when power tilts. He booked a venue tour on my work block. Quick stop 15 minutes, he promised with sparkle. The manager walked us through add-ons and upgrades. He nodded at every shiny option like money grew. Back home, I set a rule in clear language. No tour until household milestones are hit. He paced once and bit his lip hard. Desire flared, but the boundary stayed. Thursday, a message popped up from his brother. Can you spot me for a week? It read. He hovered and asked for a small transfer. I asked which bill we should skip instead. He laughed tight and called me dramatic, then quiet. I waited and pushed the phone across the table. Pick the task you can complete by dinner. He stared at the board like it stared back. He chose laundry and loaded it quickly. Later, I smelled damp fabric folded in haste. I unfolded shirts and felt the clammy truth. Shortcuts rot the center before anyone notices. Friday, the board had 2 half marks and smudges. He proposed a reset and blamed unrealistic goals. I erased the mess and rewrote 3 lines. I kept my pen on the table like proof. He promised a grocery run with a master plan. I checked the account and saw the sports store. He returned with supplements and a shaker for progress. Progress looks different when you're paying alone. Dinner, I cooked and watched him craft a toast. To freedom and efficiency, he lifted his glass. I clinked and heard the hollow through the ring. Celebrations feel heavier when the math limps. Before bed, I opened a blank note. I listed deliverables with dates and penalties. He watched the screen and shifted his stance. Deadlines teach where charm fails. I sent him the note and set an alarm. Tomorrow starts with bills and meal prep, I wrote. He nodded, then asked for my card briefly. I locked my wallet drawer and let the silence answer. I lay awake and pictured the month ahead. If he adapts, we win. If not, we pivot. My chest eased a little with that plan. Relief flickered, but something colder waited. The timer beeped and he lifted the lid like a showman. Steam swallowed the room and he tossed in noodles fast. Meal prep done, he declared, wrist flicking sauce everywhere. I plated a forkful and tasted undercooked ambition aching. Receipts, I held out my palm and kept it steady. He patted pockets and grinned at nothing in particular. Digital, he shrugged, unlocking my tablet with practiced ease. An email popped up with a delivery fee blinking. I cut the Wi-Fi and slid the tablet away. Paper next time, I told him, voice flat as stone. He rolled his shoulder and reached for the spice rack. Control hides in tiny moves that look harmless. Afternoon brought a ping from the banking app. 2 charges sat there from a cleaning service downtown. He lifted his eyebrows like I should applaud the initiative. Our productivity just doubled, he said, palms raised high. Cancel it, I pointed to the checklist on the fridge. That money covers utilities tomorrow, not glittering shortcuts. He tapped out a message with dramatic sighs and pauses. The refund note read pending, and I felt a clock start. He announced an interview slot for Tuesday at noon. Big firm, perfect fit, he breathed, pacing tight lines. Mock questions tonight so I nail it, he added quickly. My chest loosened a fraction while my stomach watched. I built a quick deck of questions and benchmarks. He stood tall and fired back polished slogans without substance. Walk me through last quarter metrics, I asked, pen ready. His gaze slipped left and the fabric started tearing. He pushed the deck aside and queued up hold music. Recruiter wants a quick pre-screen right now, he whispered urgently. I hit speaker and listened to the looped elevator jingle. A recorded voice congratulated him for waiting patiently. Mute that, I stared until the phone trembled slightly. He laughed and called it a rehearsal under pressure. I closed the notebook and drew a deadline with dates. He read the line and swallowed hard without water. Tuesday arrived and he wore my sharpest blazer. Power look, he smiled, tightening a borrowed tie knot. I left for a client call with clear expectations. Return with a calendar invite or bring me clarity. He texted a string of fireworks and thumbs midday. Crushed it, next round soon, the message sparkled in chat. Send me the email chain, I replied, waiting by the elevator. No reply landed for 20 restless minutes. I came home to flowers that smelled like masking tape. He presented them with a bow and kissed the air. Celebrate momentum, he announced, clapping once near my shoulder. The kitchen clock ticked like a metronome of doubt. Show me the invite, I leaned on the counter and waited. He opened his inbox and scrolled through newsletters and ads. Spam filter ate it, he muttered, forcing a casual chuckle. Silence drew a line neither of us crossed. He pivoted and pulled out a shared calendar draft. Household sprints, personal sprints, color-coded, he explained briskly. Every block labeled his gym time first with pride. My work windows were squeezed like margins on failing paper. Nope, I dragged his blocks into early mornings. He winced and called it suboptimal for gains and focus. Strong bodies run strong homes, he argued, rubbing his jaw. Strong homes also pay bills on the exact day. A courier buzzed and asked for signature downstairs. He bounded out and returned with 2 boxes unscanned. Networking supplies, he winked, slicing through tape like confetti. A ring light emerged and a tripod followed fast. You building content now, I folded my arms and waited. Brand equals jobs, he countered, adjusting the phone orientation. He hit record and launched into productivity gospel, voice booming. The camera loved him while the ledger glared. He posted and comments poured in with admiration. King Energy teach us, one read, heart stacking. He handed me the phone for approval like a medal. I scrolled and felt our reality split on contact. Evening, he opened a group chat named Dream Team. His brother and 2 friends cheered the new era. Soft launch complete, the brother typed with laughing emojis. I screenshotted the thread and saved it quietly. He noticed and slid closer with a pleading look. Back me for 1 month and I fly, he whispered. Hardline, 3 deliverables, no excuses, I answered slowly. He nodded and bit his knuckle like it tasted iron. Next morning, trash day crept up like a test. I listened for wheels on concrete and heard nothing. He scrambled late with slippers and a heroic sprint. The truck rolled past while he waved at fumes. I opened the window and let the cold bite. Add disposal fee to your tally, I said, voice measured. He kicked the bin and blamed the city for reroutes. Ownership dodged us like a shadow that learned judo. At noon, our landlord texted about a noise complaint. Fitness routines at dawn, the message read, polite but firm. He flexed in the hallway and called neighbors delicate. I pictured a lease renewal meeting with tight smiles. I lined up chores for the weekend with timers. He negotiated for a brunch pass to meet a mentor. Network over eggs, he pitched, tapping the counter rhythmically. I asked which task would be completed beforehand. He chose meal planning and pushed a cart through aisles. I checked the bank and saw a sportswear purchase. He returned with supplements and a single rotisserie bird. Diet is not a strategy when the bill yawns. Saturday afternoon, I found a new subscription in email. A concierge app promised errands handled for a premium. Trial only, he argued, pointing to tiny letters on screen. Trials become anchors when no one watches clocks. I canceled the plan and moved funds into vaults. He watched me create envelopes and label them clearly. Draconian, he muttered, trying to sound amused and calm. Boundaries grow teeth when tested twice. That night, he staged another live stream about discipline. He thanked his partner for belief and vision alignment. Comments asked for our wedding date with excited punctuation. He grinned and tossed out summer like it was settled. I ended the stream with a single finger to the lens. We set dates after shared milestones, I announced, eyes fixed. He laughed softly and brushed my shoulder for warmth. The chat erupted and I felt the room tilt. Sunday dawned with another buzzing notification barrage. A meal kit subscription confirmed delivery for Tuesday morning. He shrugged and called it efficient nutrition for champions. I opened the budget and crossed out breathing room. I wrote 3 targets on a sticky square. Bill payments, 3 interviews scheduled, a full grocery list. He tucked the note into his wallet like a vow. Vows are light until the first storm blows. The payment terminal flashed red and he looked at me first. He palmed my card from the tray with a quick grin. I covered it with my hand and held the moment. "Use yours," I whispered and watched his jaw tighten. Outside, he paced and spun the receipt like a coin. "Fraud hold," he muttered, checking his banking app twice. "Temporary glitch, I will sort it later," he added. Later had become his favorite place to hide. At home, I opened the laptop and pulled up figures. "Tonight is structure," I said, sliding a notepad across. "No weddings until shared costs and proofs," I continued, eyes locked. His smile thinned and his shoulda. Our rest climbed. He tried humor and flicked a bottle cap toward the sink. "Relax, we are a team with momentum," he chirped. I clicked the spreadsheet and set a timer to beep. Deadlines cut through charm like wire. 3 pillars: rent, share, utilities, scheduling, job interviews on calendar. I wrote them large enough to leave no wiggle. "Miss one and the next week gets locked down," I said. He drummed the table and stared at my pen. "I am building a platform that pays later," he started. I held up a hand and pointed to the clock. "Rent cycles now, not in a beautiful someday," I answered. He lowered his gaze and the room cooled. He reached for the budget and drew a big circle. "House manager stipend," he announced, tapping the ink twice. My throat went dry and my voice came out slow. "You want payroll before delivery." He leaned back and spread his arms in a pose. "Managers get paid to free talent," he insisted. "Free me from noise and I scale us," he continued. I wrote 0 next to his circle and let silence hang. He recoiled, then tried another door with lighter tone. "Okay, I can liquidate some gear fast," he offered. "What gear?" I asked, watching his eyes flick right. He blinked 3 times and adjusted his watch. A calendar alert buzzed for an unpaid balance. I turned the screen so he could not dodge it. "Pick one bill and clear it tonight," I said. He swallowed and chose the smallest line like it hurt. He needed the account code and reached for my phone. I passed a printed slip and kept my pockets closed. He typed slow and double-checked the numbers twice. The confirmation popped up and barely moved my pulse. "Next, schedule 2 interviews before Friday noon." I opened an email template ready for quick sending. He hovered, then copied a message into a recruiter form. I watched for typos and promises he could not keep. "Last planned meals for 7 days with receipts." He squinted at the grid like it offended him. "Efficiency suggests ordering kits again," he ventured carefully. I shook my head and tapped the column labeled total. His phone lit with the Dream Team thread cheering content growth. He angled the screen away like the glow burned. "Focus," I said, pulling the device to the table. He ended the chat and clenched his teeth. A venue email chimed with a hold expiring tonight. He pointed to the photos and waited for my approval. "Release it," I told him, keeping my breathing slow. His smile cracked and something impatient slid out. "You act like I contribute nothing," he snapped, standing. I stood too and kept my hands open but firm. "Contribute verifiable actions, then ask for extras," I answered. He stared at the window like it offered an exit. We sat again and I drafted a short contract. Simple lines, targets, dates, consequences. He read each clause and pressed his thumb to the page. The gesture looked brave until the ink dried. He asked for a key to the savings vault. I shook my head and pointed to the new rule. Read-only access on shared funds until stability returns. He rubbed his forehead and nodded with effort. An hour later, he brought me a grocery plan. It listed actual meals and quantities without fluff. I let a small breath out and wrote approved. Hope flickered, but I had learned to quarantine hope. Before midnight, he posted a clip about discipline again. He never named me, he used partner like a product. I messaged him to archive the clip before morning. He watched the views climb and stalled. "Delete it now or the contract pauses," I typed. He stared at the screen and exhaled through his nose. The video vanished and his shoulders sank 2 inches. Winds tasted thin, but I counted them anyway. I set a final checkpoint for week's end. All pillars cleared, unlock a modest celebration budget. Miss One and his card lives in the drawer. He nodded once and reached for my hand. I let him hold it for a beat only. I wanted partnership, not performance with hashtags. He felt the time limit and squeezed harder. Pressure tells the truth when words start acting. I closed the laptop and left the room quiet. Behind me, he shuffled papers like new beginnings. The door clicked and my heart settled halfway. Something still waited just past the frame. I woke to clicking and found him hunched over my laptop. The reset screen glowed and asked for security answers. He flinched when I touched the lid and snapped it shut. "Bill automation," he murmured, palms up, heartbeat visible. I removed autofill and added a fresh authentication app. "No changes without me in the room," I said. He paced a tight circle and tugged his sleeve twice. Control moved back to my side of the table. A courier dropped the meal kit at the door mid-meeting. He left it outside while filming a morning update. I ended my call and dragged the box in fast. Waste dense budgets more than arguments ever do. He pitched a joint channel using our names together. Couple efficiency. Real love, real systems, he grinned, eyes bright. He angled his phone at me and hit record instantly. I cut the Wi-Fi and felt his stare harden. An invite pinged from a money coach at 2. He urged me to join because this was growth. I asked for credentials, he waved his hand briskly. The coach froze when I demanded a license number. We ended the call and he sulked near the sink. "All you do is block," he muttered, jaw tight. I slid the contract across with a capped marker. Hit targets and doors open, missed them and they shut. Checkpoint time arrived and the report looked flimsy. 1 grocery run, half a plan, 0 interviews scheduled. He asked for a grace period with an unsteady smile. "Collateral," I replied, tapping the ring light quietly. He stalled, then pointed to shoes he swore were assets. "List them tonight and show me the posting," I said. He nodded, eyes dropping to the floor, fingers fidgeting. Promises stretch thin when photos never upload. The landlord texted about maintenance dues unpaid again. He had sworn that line was his responsibility yesterday. I transferred the amount and logged it as a loan. He watched me type and swallowed whatever came next. Later I found new calendar blocks stacked over mine. Gym sessions sat across my client reviews like graffiti. I locked editing rights and pinged him the notice. He stared at the shared page and went very quiet. An alert flashed for a peer-to-peer transfer attempt. His brother's handle sat in the memo with 2 emojis. "Emergency," he breathed, reaching for the phone with urgency. "Proof," I answered, holding out my palm for context. He scratched his temple and changed the subject fast. "Brand deal landed," he announced, waving his inbox triumphantly. The message came from a free account with typos. "Have them email my work address," I said, voice cool. Evening, his friends gathered at a bar near our place. They toasted his startup phase and nudged me for details. The bill arrived and drifted toward my side smoothly. I stood up and left cash for only my glass. He followed me outside and caught my wrist lightly. "You are making me look small," he whispered, eyes flashing. "Do the work and you look huge," I answered. He let go and stared past me toward anything easier. Back home, I set a dawn deadline for proof. 2 interview confirmations, 1 full meal plan with totals. He promised an all-nighter and cracked his knuckles loudly. I locked the card drawer and hid the key elsewhere. Sunrise came with coffee and exactly 1 shaky calendar invite. The email address belonged to a generic staffing bot. The grocery sheet included 3 dinners and missing prices. My thumbs hovered over the drawer while he watched. "I can fix it by lunch," he blurted, pacing hard. "Then fix it," I said, pulling the drawer open halfway. He nodded, then reached for his phone with shaky bravado. I recognized that posture, the one before another pivot. Around noon, a notification flagged a new subscription again. A concierge trial had restarted under a different email. He covered the screen with his palm and forced a grin. I canceled it and cut the shared balance to fumes. He went still, then tried a softer pitch about faith. "Believe in what I am building," he whispered, voice thin. "Show me something built," I answered and kept breathing slow. He stared at my hands like they held a verdict. When he left for a quick meetup, I opened the ledger. Line items blinked in neat rows that did not add up. 2 transfers wore vague labels and identical round numbers. I scrolled once more and felt my ribs tighten. I traced the ledger lines and clicked the newest entry. 2 identical withdrawals pulsed in neat rounds with vague notes. Another ping followed with a conversion to an external wallet. My throat tightened as the pattern aligned itself. I opened a secure window and froze the shared card. A second lock followed on the backup I never used. Then I enabled alerts for every outgoing pulse. The room felt smaller while my screen kept breathing. The door opened and he tossed his keys on the counter. "Quick meetup turned long," he announced, smile quick then careful. I turned the laptop toward him and tapped the transfers. "Walk me through these or pack tonight." He leaned on the chair and tried a bright laugh. "Short-term parking for a side play," he began, hands wide. I held up one finger and waited without blinking. "Parking fees do not wear his brother's handle twice." "Emergency float," he pivoted, rubbing his jaw with care. "For family and a hot opportunity," he added, voice lighter. I opened the banking app and pointed at timestamps. Both hits landed during our contract review. He swore softly and reached for the phone anyway. I slid it away and kept my palms flat. "Proof now," I said, not raising my volume. "Screenshots, emails, actual names attached." He dug in his pockets and pulled nothing useful. "Ray. Lax, it cycles back tomorrow with interest," he tried. I tilted my head and waited for the next costume. "Charm works until math answers the door." He straightened and pushed a confession toward me. "I needed seed money while you kept blocking," he said. "That is why you did not notice right away." His eyes flicked to the drawer and then back. "Seed money from my paycheck," I answered, pulse steady. "You built your runway with my labor while promising chores." He flinched and looked for a softer landing somewhere else. There were no cushions left in this room. "I can fix it," he pushed, pacing 3 steps. "Let me host a live and monetize tonight." I typed the final limit in the shared note. "No content using my name or implied endorsements." He laughed once and rolled his shoulders like a fighter. "You are making this an attack," he muttered under breath. I stood and placed the contract between us again. 3 lines glared back with unfinished boxes. "Return the funds by Friday at 5. Submit 2 legitimate interview confirmations today. Provide receipts for the last 5 household payments." He read each one and tapped the edge twice. He stepped closer and tried warmth in his voice. "We can build an empire if you stop clenching." I watched his hands, not his promises or eyes. I used to love those hands before they reached vaults. He lunged for the laptop and I closed it hard. "Do not touch my devices," I said evenly. He froze and then forced a calm breath. Control shifted the moment he saw I would not move. He grabbed a gym bag and started stuffing shirts. "Temporary space," he announced, not looking at me. "Couples need air when pressure mounts," he added softly. I stopped the speech with a raised palm. "Leave the shared keys," I told him, tone clipped. He unhooked them and set them on the table. His jaw worked like he had words chewing inside. He swallowed them and zipped the bag too fast. The phone buzzed with a message from the landlord. "Deposit overdue from partner share," the text read bluntly. I forwarded the note to his number and waited. He glanced down and then looked past me to nothing. "Your brother can pay you back," I offered flatly. "Send him the contract and a deadline tonight." He winced and pocketed the phone without a reply. Silence answered better than any script. I called the bank and filed a fraud safeguard. The agent confirmed holds and asked for a statement. "I authorized nothing to third parties," I repeated twice. He stared at me like I had wrecked a dream. He tried one more pivot to wedding logistics. "We lose our date if we delay again," he warned. I stepped to the fridge and tore the hold notice. "We lose more if we fund lies with patience." He set the bag down and reached for my hands. "I love you," he pushed, eyes wide and steady. "I am learning I can adjust, just help me." I felt something loyal and tired unravel cleanly. Love does not mean a paycheck without trust. Love means transparency and shared risk, not shadows. He blinked hard and looked younger for a second. Then he looked exactly like a man out of credit. "Give me 1 week," he bargained, fingers interlaced. 1 week to repay and lock interviews and deliver. I checked the alerts and found another attempt declined. No more borrowed time lived in these numbers. "Return the money by Friday and email confirmations. Until then you stay elsewhere," I said, voice clear. He nodded slow and finally stopped performing. The quiet landed like a verdict we both understood. He lifted the bag again and paused near the door. "Are we done?" he asked, staring at the floor. We are paused until repayment and proof, I answered. Pause felt honest and harder than goodbye. The door shut and I exhaled through clenched teeth. I opened my notebook and wrote a short line. Protect work, protect home, protect future. The words held steady while the room steadied. I forwarded statements to my own email archive. Then I messaged the landlord with a split plan. I covered the gap and documented every cent owed. Paper trails survive storms better than certainty. His brother pinged me with a casual thumbs up. Money comes back soon, the message floated in. I requested a written promise with dates and totals. The typing bubble blinked and then disappeared. Evening came with a final notification from his account. Transfer reversed from the exchange with a service fee. Not all of it, but enough to reset the math. I logged the return and flagged the missing remainder. He texted a photo of a couch and a blanket. Temporary digs while I grind, the line read. I stared at the image and felt nothing move. A choice had already been made earlier today. I wrote him 3 sentences in plain terms. Reimburse the rest by Friday before close of business. Share 2 calendar invites from real companies with contacts. Bring receipts for utilities that match dates and records. No OGs, no softeners, no padding anywhere. He replied with a single check mark and no flourish. I put the phone down and held my breath. I let the breath out and did not chase him. Before sleep, I moved my direct deposit to a new vault. Then I renamed the household budget to reflect one owner. The cursor blinked, then accepted the change without protest. Some doors close with a click you never forget. Morning would test the new lines I drew tonight. Either he steps over cleanly or walks away. Either way, the story keeps going with or without him. What choice would you count as love when the bill arrives?